Agentic AI, LLM. The global AI had got a rank of 395, top 1.01 percentile. Building the AI agents successfully delivered almost 100 plus AI and technology led platforms across the Asia Pacific, US. This is Amrish Kumar, and I'm actually a Chief Product and Technology Officer for Ascent Health Solutions, which some especially Ajureka, which was there. Significant was Bibigo. Deepak Garg was the one of my batchmate.
Can technology come, to rescue?
And that experience, the global experience, you will not be able to get in US. You have to handle like a 500, 600 member team or 1000 member teams as well.
So human and AI actually is making the difference.
Solutions team separate from your delivery team, which is a client delivery team. Client delivery will be a separate team, and then there is a solution or innovation team.
Okay, so Amrish, I'll just start with my introduction. I'm working as vice president for a global company, and it is mostly into the services space. And I'm like particularly involved in the US healthcare for last 6 years. And my job responsibility includes consulting and then delivering the projects for our global clients. And in my past life, I worked with the product companies like Paytm. I got a chance to work with Fidelity, where I was working as an architect. But last 6 years is more about like we have seen the industry is changing quite fast. There are a lot of innovation, and I would say like the innovation cycle has been reduced and made it really fast, where we are seeing the innovation much faster than ever before, right? So and my I have a global team who's working from US, Canada, Philippines, India locations, and we recently like started working from Ireland as well. I'm based out of Plano, Texas, but I keep traveling between India and US for like making sure the team is delivering up to the point, and then at the same time meeting clients and understanding their needs. So this is how I'm currently situated. And uh, overall, like I worked with US healthcare, I worked with capital market clients, I worked in the banking domains. In my past life, I was part of ICICI, Punjab National Bank, some domestic clients as well, where we have delivered the functionalities. But definitely, my experience with US healthcare has been really consistent for last 6 years. So that's very quick introduction about me. Amrish would like to know more about your side of the view.
Sure. Thanks, Anil, for inviting me into the podcast. So this is Amrish Kumar, and I'm actually a Chief Product and Technology Officer for Ascent Health Solutions, which is a US-based healthcare company, and especially Ascent Health Solutions has been a global US-based uh, payer provider and life science solution provider company, which is the AI technology platform led services as well as real world services. My role has been have been in 2 decades in AI and digital transformation, especially worked for 16 years in US and then moved back to India almost 3 years ago, where I worked for esteemed organizations such as Elements Health and Tech Mahindra, as well as Oracle, Booking.com, Cars24 in India as well, and Ixigo, where I led various practices and built the some of the solutions, AI and digital transformation solutions in like cloud, IoT, Gen AI, data innovation. My experience has been mostly around in various domains. Like the healthcare has been one of my flagship where I worked for both in the provider medtech industries and as well as in the healthcare and life sciences, and especially like in the payer provider and insurance space, and also worked in as when I was working in Tech Mahindra, also in the uh, life sciences space such as GSK, Novartis, and we worked for some of the company solution building Gen AI and Agentic AI solutions. Have successfully delivered almost 100 plus AI and technology led platforms across the Asia Pacific, US, and Europe, Middle East, Africa regions as well, and which including the $1 billion plus revenue impact with teams of more than 500 plus leading them in the AI practitioners and experts. Some of the work that I delivered was in the high impact 30 plus horizontal and vertical acceleration provider across the healthcare and life sciences, retail, manufacturing, and BFSI domains, which where we worked with some of the US based clientels as well, both in the US as well as in India side as well. So have been part of those divisions. And when I was at Care Elevance Health's GCC, or Global Capability Center in Carelon Global Solutions, I used to lead a multiple global teams as well across the AI tower, which I was leading the largest AI tower in India for more than 500 plus team member size,
Oh,
where I was leading across in the US, Philippines, Ireland, as you mentioned about some of that as
yep,
well,
yep.
Israel and various. So it was a multi-location that we used to handle, and
Sure.
the team size was. So I have been leading this from a basically from a both from a product-based mindset, both on the provider Gen AI, Agentic AI side as well, and then have successfully published various blogs and articles, and been part of public speaking and engagements as well,
That's
and
awesome.
academic accolades, alumni of IIT Kanpur, and then did my master's
By the
in
way, I am also from Kanpur, Amrish. Like, how's your experience about Kanpur?
yeah, yeah, it has been great experience. I've been born and brought up. I did my all my education and did went to US for my master's after that with
Mhm.
University of New York
So
Buffalo.
you are based out of Kanpur itself, or like you are based out of some different location? What is your
Right,
hometown?
I'm based out of Hyderabad. So I
Okay,
moved to India when I moved to India after spending almost 16 years.
okay.
After being a green card holder as well. And then I came to India. At that time, I was based out of Hyderabad.
So definitely, I think there are a lot of interesting discussions which I see planned. Do you have any hard stop, or we just plan like till 11? But do you have like, are you comfortable till 11, or
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
have?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
sounds
Yes,
good.
yes.
Because I'm like keeping this very engaging, and some of the questions which I usually be approached for, and I'll try to like solve through these podcasts. So one of the interesting from an overall, I think this is a great experience, Amrish. I'm sure like I am going to learn myself a lot with your experience, so thanks for
Yeah,
taking
same,
time.
same here. Same
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So, Amrish, how was your like journey when you cracked for IIT, right? So I will start from there. How was your journey? How did you prep? And I know like you're talking about 2 decades of experience. So preparing at that time, right? Just talk about some of your experience
Yeah, yeah.
that time.
Yeah, I think it was a very interesting journey because from right from my when I was in ninth or tenth standard and all those, I used to start preparing for something which is very unheard of. Like I used to prepare for some of those books. They used to get some of those books from the UP board examination, and which
Yeah.
was in Hindi medium, and I used to solve all that mathematical problems, and I completed all the 11th and 12th uh, books for UP board in the for the Hindi medium.
So you did your 10th and 12th through Hindi medium, and then you
No, no,
appeared
no. I
now.
no, I did it from ICSC board. I did
Okay.
it. I was have been throughout the English
Okay.
medium,
Okay.
but because UP board was considered to be the toughest, where used
Yeah.
to be having a lot of mathematical problems, and I used to go to the coachings and all those built into the. So I started preparing for IITs like when I was in 10th standard as well, and then 11th and 12th I was preparing because I completed all the 11th and 12th for the preparation during my summer vacations only, when
Mm-hmm.
I was preparing for IITs and all those. So at that time, I cracked IITs in the first attempt, but my
Oh
rank
wow.
wasn't that great. But then I
Mm.
went and then tried for 1 year coaching, and then after that I got a rank of 395, which is the top 1.01 percentile at that time. But yeah, it was a very tough because in this coachings and all those we used to wake up like 5 a.m. in the morning, and then used to
Yeah.
go for things and then prepare in the night. It was like a four. People used to say IITs cracking IITs is a easy job, but it's a very tough. And once you get into the IITs, you have to understand that the people whom you are because I got into mechanical engineering at that time, and then you can understand the people whom you are competing with. They are also from the top rankers at that time, and then
Yeah.
your batch of 60 or 70 people suddenly, or even in your first year you have a batch of 400 who are some of the brilliant minds, and who became right now are in the top positions in the US as well, and so were the brilliant minds, and you have to compete with them, and you have to make sure that your scores at that time should be your
Yeah.
averages used to fluctuate a lot, because class used to make around after midterm examinations we used to have two midterm and final year. So I, especially in IIT Kanpur at that time, it was a very tough in terms of even after clearing the exam, keeping it pace with the 4 year, because you have to compete with that. But yeah, it was a very fascinating journey at that time, and then
So
after
when you
that.
got into like top rankers when you cleared the exam, so how was your like were you the first few who cleared IIT during that time in your family, or like there were other people also participated in IIT?
So yeah, my brother had already cracked IIT. He's
Okay.
2 years senior to me, and he's already in IIT Kanpur at that time. And then
Okay.
even from my family, my cousin, brother, and everyone. So there had been a lot of stories from my family as well.
Okay.
That is why, because of my influence of my brother, when he used to solve these, because we were both studying in the ICSE or IC board, and in 11th standard, he used to solve the high school problems of the UP board. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started doing that because I saw that same thing, and so it always in the footsteps, because he went to US to do masters, and then I also followed him. So
Yeah.
actually, so
That usually
from
happens in the family, right? You
the
always
family,
follow your
yes.
elder one, right?
Yeah, yeah. Similarly, my cousin brother, he also did from IIT and then from IIM Bangalore. Now he's a very big, in especially in the many especially in fund management or side as well, or wealth fund,
Okay.
especially for the energy capital in India. So same thing. I also tried with the IMs and all those, but then I got it from the complete scholarship in US, where it was a teaching assistantship and full
Got it.
tuition.
So I'll come to the US now, just like for anyone who's preparing for IIT, because I know that the competition has gone high. At the same time, number of IITs are also more right. So what do you think? Like what mantra still works for anyone who's aspiring to become IITian? So what do you say? Like top two or three things?
I think the first thing is definitely start preparing early in your journey. Means I think the one thing is like when you are in 10th or 11th standard, that is the best time, because you are quite raw, and then definitely look to solve as much as math or physics problems which are also there, like try to solve some of these uh, books that are available, like SCA Verma, which is a kind of concepts of physics, and all those
Yeah.
books should have actually you should have all those concepts in the early stages of your career. Second thing is definitely be ready to, if you even after clearing 12th, and if you don't crack IIT, then definitely try to, if you are really good, if you have been all good in your studies and everything, definitely take a 1 year break, I will suggest, and definitely try, because one thing really helps when you cross IIT, because you get that kind of a competitiveness in your
Yeah.
career, and that is still there with me, because whenever I see with my friends or my batchmates, I always try to be competitive and try to be thinking, well, like, how should I make sure that I'm upskilling and reskilling myself, and but
Right. And
that
the news these days, like there is a person from IIT Kanpur who was working in OpenAI. Meta
OpenAI
offered like 800 crores plus CTC
800
to this
billion,
guy.
100 million dollar. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is the
That
one thing.
competitiveness. Yeah.
Competitiveness is always there, and that helps you to keep looking for, and because you're not afraid of any exams or any competitive exams
Yeah.
once you cross that, because a lot of my friends who became IAS officers or even went to IMs, or a lot of people different, even some of them became doctors at the same,
Right.
or some became actors also, but
Yeah.
but it gives you the ability and confidence to continuously
Right.
struggle, be
And as
competitive.
it is mentioned, right, your average of your five friends, right? So when you have access to such network, you definitely
Right.
like things bigger than you
Yeah,
usually do,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah, because you continuously see your network in there because you see your network, and this is the one thing that I really learned because when I was in US, I used to always be in that network around because I used to see people in India also like who
Yeah.
were going in definitely in ranks, and there used to be they were doing really fascinating things, opening startups, and which they became a billion
So
unicorns as well.
if I ask you out of your batch, right, how many from your batch have started their startup or they started their organization? And like if you have some like entrepreneurial
Uh,
journey, right?
Yeah, I know both of my brother's batch as well as my brother's batch in 2001, which passed out. They had almost 15 to 20% of them started startups, and many of them are now be very big unicorns.
Okay.
Some especially like Ajureka, which was there, and some I remember there is also now a lot of unicorns that are coming up. From my batch, one of the significant was Rivigo, which
Okay.
was one of the one that Deepak Garg was the one of my batchmate, and so but a lot of people, even Ixigo from my brother's batchmate where I used to work as well. But yeah, but lot of them have become unicorns in uh, from what they started, and some of them still have a decent size right now, and many of them left the jobs and started their own startups, but they are doing recently well in their
Right.
career.
And I think these companies doesn't need any introductions because these are the big names that you're talking about. So definitely like that risk taking capabilities are much more higher with when you have the access to this network and when you have gone through the grind that is required to do any startup. So the next interesting thing, Amrish, would like to know about, like, because you went to US for doing your masters, right? That is how you started US.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I got my full scholarship there. I was a teaching assistantship, and it was definitely I needed that complete tuition scholarship. Paid everything for me as well as, and I used to even have that teaching with teaching assistant. You get complete tuition scholarship as well as your $2,000 per month as well that you get on a monthly 2006 to 2008. Yeah.
2006 to 8. So you were saying like this covered your school, like tuition fee. This covered some of the additional expenses. Like, do you remember if someone used to do the like full time from their pocket without the tuition fee and the scholarship, right? That's you were part of. How much that used to be cost during that time?
Yeah, its average cost per year used to be around 35 to $40,000.
Okay.
But yeah, but that was the major cost used to be there per year. And then if you 2 years study, it used to cost them 75 to 80,000. But yeah, for me, like it was definitely got the tuition scholarship. So the every tuition fees was totally waived. And then also the apart from that, I used to get a monthly income also as a teaching assistant.
Got it. And were you able to get the job immediately? Because when I meet a lot of fresh grads from college these days, right, there are so many folks who traveled for doing their masters, but they don't have enough jobs in the US market these days, right? So
Yeah,
what was the
it
situation
depends.
that time?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's mostly depends on the specialization. And actually, when I did what I did with completely masters with thesis and all those, so definitely I did it, especially in the mechatronics and AI infused cognitive AI infused virtual reality and robotics, which no
Mhm.
one thought at that time. But
Yeah.
there are companies who were working in that space, in the startup space. So for me, I got this multiple job offers at that time.
Mhm.
So that was not a problem at that time because if you are expert in some areas, then it becomes easier to get into those. Right now, the major problems has been the people who are going into masters. They don't have the complete vision what they want to do in their masters because I worked for a couple of years in India
Mhm.
and then I went to US and I had the exact because I was working like what I have to work in my masters and what is the because of my IT campus network as well and then what some of my friends also were seniors to me as well in that
Mhm.
uh, that actually gave me saved me really well in terms of what I should study and what should be my focus as well. And some of the work that I did still I'm connected with that owner or founder whom I started with at that time,
Right.
and still I'll connect and keep giving advice to them. So, but I think it has to be more into the what really you want to specialize in.
Sure. And so you post graduation in 2008, right? And
Yes, yes.
what was the company that you finally selected and finally decided that okay, I should work for that company, and why?
Yeah, yeah. So it was a robotics-based startup that I worked with. It's called Controlled Automation. It was in Midwest. I had a couple of offers as well from like Caterpillar and all those at that
Hmm.
time at the robotics space. But yeah, I especially like I liked the company because they were doing some of the cutting edge work with some of the AI-based robotics side as well, which nobody had heard, and they are still in that business right now. So that was one of the things. And it was a really good experience there because once I worked for 3 years, it really shaped my career going forward in terms of into AI uh, and robotic space as well.
And that time, like, that used to be the niche space, right? When you
Yeah,
start. So
yeah,
if I compare, right, with the Gen AI and agentic AI market today, right, and someone who has done the robotics, and you started your career after doing the post graduation, what used to be the salary standard that time in 2008, when you joined the company?
yeah. So I think the salary standard, if I see from that time to now, is hasn't changed much. It has
Okay.
been all the same in
Even
US.
in if such a inflation rate, you are saying like it's
It's
still
the
the same.
same.
Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when I was to work in Arkansas, if you look it from the from California side when I started,
Mhm.
because when I started, it was around in Arkansas, I used to make around 75 to 80K, which
Yeah.
is California if you compare with the because you are also because I used to live in very close to Texarkana or Texas area as well, and used to come
Yeah.
to Texas area. So compared to like in California area, if you compare the same with the cost of living, still at that time it used to be 150K to 200K. That used to
Yeah.
be the starting, and still it is the same, but it maybe it has
Situation has not changed. Yes. Yeah.
the situation may have gone down as well because now
Yeah.
people are not making. But in India, it has skyrocketed because I used to remember when I used to get offers in 2012 or 2011 at that time. In India, I used to be around 25 to 30 lakhs, but suddenly people are paying really handsome amount right now in
Yeah.
India. So it
I'm sure
has.
like you must be finding very difficult to hire in India, because same situation I'm going through. Sometimes it feels like hiring someone in US is easier than hiring someone in India, especially the talent with this 10 plus years experience. The situation has been really changed after COVID.
Yeah, it also depends on the what I feel about my experience because I worked for various companies in India. Almost like this is my fourth or fifth company that I have worked in India in last 4 years. But I think the one of the things that I have seen in all these companies, and when even when we were setting up the GCC for Elevance Health, where uh, we scaled from 50 employees for in the AI tower to at least 600, 700 people within a matter of 1 year or six
Yeah.
months. The massive hiring that we did. So we fired all the cylinders in there because we used LinkedIn. And still, when I'm hiring, still I'm looking at all the resources, and we built a really good network. We hired really good freshers from tier 1 and tier 2 colleges, which we built it as a base in terms of building it to the next level, especially in the AI space. Because in Gen AI and agentic AI, or even in traditional AI space, what I felt always that you need people with a master's or PhD degrees, and if you
Yeah.
build that people with that degrees, or even in BTech also somebody who has a good aptitude and everything, then they will definitely be able to scale up. But
Yeah.
even if we're talking about the 10 plus years experience, I have seen with the especially in India last 5 6 years back it was very hard, but now in India it had the market has changed. We can find really good people, but yeah, the some of that challenges that remain still in US versus India.
Right. I just asked one very personal question, right? Because I'm still in a situation deciding my long term in US versus my long term in India, right? And this is like most of the Indians who are first time movers to US. they always living in that dilemma, right? So I'm sure like you must have gone through the same
Yes,
phase,
yes.
right? And when I was just started second year or third year of my career, I was like dying to come to US, right? And I think I left more than four or five opportunities rather than moving to a different country. I decided to go to US. But suddenly I think after the COVID situation, when people have like the personal responsibilities taking more than the professional responsibilities, so sometimes people like in my age, they are in dilemma whether to choose to be in US for long term or whether to like decide to be in India. So how was your journey like? You have gone through the same experience, or your experience was different?
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's a very interesting question, and a lot of people ask me about that because since 2006 I was in US and 2021 when I moved to India, we were moving at the time of when the COVID was at the peak. But the main thing why I moved to India, and I have seen all those 15 years when I was in US, and because I seen all the journey from different universities, even like UC Berkeley and all those. So I think the main thing which I felt in US, because US the main problem was always, especially taking the leadership positions is always a challenging in US. And then one of the things is also because of my one of the things with the H1 visa and all those, it was kind of feeling like you are handcuffed because you cannot move in the jobs, and though you can move it between the I-140 and all those approved and that you can move. But yeah, it was always living in a kind of a fear and all those. But in India, you get that kind of a freedom where you can choose anytime where you know if you want to leave or the company and you want to build anything new startup or anything that you want to start as an advisory board also. So that freedom is there, and there is a lot of things that you can do like in India, like especially like this GCC has been a big culture going in India with it, like as I was exposed to this in Kerala on Global Solutions and startups also I've seen both in
Yeah.
Ixigo and Past 24. It's a very very different mindset and the way people approach, and that is one thing that I always learned because in India we are or US we are living in that kind of a bubble that whatever you're doing is the best, and then suddenly you come to India and you find like there is tons of people that you interact with and then who have wide variety of global experience, and there is so much different things that people are capable of.
Yeah.
And so basically that has been my thought process from a very long time when I was in USA, but I was not I was always in double minds. But at the time of COVID, suddenly I made that firm decision to move back to India because I was like, no, definitely let's try and give it a. But like, if I see 4 years now, I definitely felt I've made the right decision because if I have not left US, I would have been still in that kind of bubble of looking
Yeah.
at more from like from a engineering space and technology and all those, not looking from a more like a leadership capabilities where you handle large teams and that experience, global experience you will not be able to get in US because in US you will be able to handle only very small teams
Yeah.
size or like a 10 or 15. Here I was able to handle like a 500 member team or 1000 member teams as well.
Yeah.
But that the scale of that, if you see it in India, it's much different compared to US, and that experience you will not get in US easily. So
Right. So
that
I think this gives the viewers also an idea, right? There's some of them who must be watching this video after we record it, right? So I think yes, I think the decision and some of the learnings that you are mentioning, this is definitely going to help a lot to the viewers who will be watching this video after recording. So
And
now,
one
yeah,
thing I wanted to add here also is
yeah,
one of the persons I met in Kerala who was a US citizen and he has been in the US for almost 20-25 years. And one of the things he made the remark is, the way, because this is the right time to move to India because India will grow exponentially and the experience that you get in the leadership positions here, because
yeah.
as you know, the more as we have 1700 GCCs now, and they're saying by end of the 2030 there will be almost 2100 GCCs. So I think that a phenomenal experience that you get China was in a similar stage in 80s or 90s that you
Yeah.
talk about 2000s, and India is in that same growth stage what China was, and US has been almost at a peak now. It is
Yeah.
not going to grow at that fast space, and it is the fastest growing economy also. So the kind of experience that you get is much different than you get in US right now.
Right. So I would ask because I also tried managing teams in US versus I tried managing teams in India. What is the major difference you see between both the kind of a team that you manage from US versus India? What was your experience? And I can share mine after just you.
Sure, sure. So I think one of the things with the US experience was with the US team that I managed was that they to take the complete ownership. Some of the and I worked with some of the very brightest Americans as well, and they take the complete ownership, accountability of their work. They are more proactive as well, and they definitely are. Though they definitely work in a specific times right now, but they look to especially more add more value, and they're more value driven and outcome driven as well, and they definitely work, especially like they don't try to work additional hard or work hard very, so like 10 to 12 hours a day or something in order to make the things work, but they will be working very smartly in that sense. So instead of working just hard as well, but they work, their style is quite, they work in a very smart way as well. So that is the one thing. But in India, the one thing that I felt was definitely the main thing is also that because as the people are also growing and then they're learning new skills and everything, there is a lot of energy and enthusiasm within the newer generation, which I saw in terms of learning new things and learning new technologies, and they will accelerate at that time, because in US one of the things that they might be laggard in learning new technologies, and as well because here everyone, if you see, everyone is learning AI, so everybody
Yeah.
wants to shift towards AI.
Yeah.
The second thing which I found in India is like their skill sets have been little bit on, they need more ups, especially with the upskilling and reskilling that they do. They need to be more taking ownership. They don't take that much ownership, and there somebody would have to be there in order to manage them and
Right.
guide and mentor them all the time. And then especially like more they're kind of a reactive attitude, and they will not foresee many of the things beforehand as well. So that is the one thing, especially working with US and India. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you are spot on, and that's what, like, when I meet my team in India, I always mention that the US team is much more visible, right? They
Hmm.
are more proactive and focused, and naturally, if you see, right, when we are like sending talent from offshore to onshore, the reason is based on their performance, their willingness and their openness, right? We always make that decision, we apply visa and all, but but and so one thing, like, definitely, like, there is a natural channel that smart talent moves to onshore, right? That doesn't mean that at offshore we don't have the right talent, but this is also seen that onshore they are more visible with their work, they are able to market themselves better, and uh, one thing that they always show up on camera, they are better communicator. So that is also, like, when we go back to offshore, when I meet my team in India, I always make them understand that this is also, these are the tips that you can follow. Be on camera, be vocal, you should be able to present your work, and obviously that ownership, right? In terms of, and one of my friend who's a scrum master, he always make a joke that scrum masters are created just for Indians, right? The reason is, like, because they have to be like discuss the work, assign the
Right.
work, track the work, whereas an onshore, right, they know how to get things done, they navigate any ways possible.
Yeah, no, I think that's the same experience that I also had. Because especially like as you were spot on, especially like with the, especially being focused as well as tracking and all those. I think that is one thing that, especially they need, they definitely are not, they're camera shy as well, and they're
Yeah.
being nervous during the work, especially being a communication side as well, because
Yeah.
in the US side they are more vocal as well as strong communicator as well. So I think
Right.
that is one
And
thing.
especially this Gen Z, right? When they have never been like part of that struggle, I think,
Yeah.
which we would have seen, right? They
Yeah.
directly like started working from a home, right? They never got a chance to work from office. They never experienced to present in bigger meetings. So and they also like find it very easily, because I think the software engineers, or that segment, they got so many opportunities post COVID, right? They find it okay if you have the degree. Seen like people quitting or people resigning just with a smaller conflict in the office, which like we could not even think of, because we think it is our responsibility end to end. Right now we are seeing like people quitting jobs in 1 year. So that is also one kind of a challenge that I was speaking about when you are hiring talent in
Yeah,
India.
no, that is the same challenges that I also have seen multiple times in India, and especially in US, it has been
Yeah.
quite different, that the thought process and all those. But I feel that things are changing. But yeah, especially with the Gen Z talent, it has been one of the especially one of the challenging parts as well. Yeah.
Right. Now I'll move to the next segment of our discussion, right? So AI and healthcare, which is interesting topic, and I'll just talk about my journey, Amshare. We started working on the Gen AI space back in 2023, and we started like building the team who can create POCs, think of some innovation using Gen AI. And I think this is a continuous innovation, right? It started with LLMs, then it started with some of the real world applications on Gen AI. People started talking about RAG, right, advanced RAG, and then with agentic AI. And within the agentic AI, there are a lot of confusion, because there are like companies who are building their native agentic AI solutions. For example, SAP has their Joule.ai, Salesforce has their Agent Force, right? And similarly, uh, other platforms also comes with their own agentic AI, and there are a lot of tools which are like being produced every day. So when you think about AI and healthcare, what comes to your mind, right? Which you think is not able to like, which is something was not able to solve, we were not able to solve earlier, which is possible after the AI came, and how it is impacting the healthcare.
Yeah, so if I talk about from the AI space, what I've seen in the healthcare space, generative AI has been at the forefront. And from my 15 years experience, in the AI space, what I've seen initially in healthcare also, people used to never take AI very seriously in healthcare, and people used to always think about AI as just another technology like RPA and all. And especially like with this with the impact that is making and the market size in the AI or generative AI, that has tremendously increased. One of the studies that said from 2022 it was around 1.07 $1 billion. That was the market space, and then now it is going to at least $22 billion by end of the 2030. So definitely there is an immense potential, especially like with the diagnostics or personalized medicine, especially building the administrative efficiency or patient engagement. And what I've seen, especially like whether it's in healthcare, RCM business, or payers, providers, insurance, or even the life sciences spaces, there the some of the real world solutions have been starting to be incorporated into the space. And then one of the things also what I've seen is like whether it's in workflow revolution or workflow automation or governance and risk models that have come as well, and talent transformations as well. And so similarly, like Gen AI tools that have been very, very popular, and agentic AI that has come up. But still, the traditional AI still remains the same, where like the NLP and the classification or the supervised learning or unsupervised learning are still very, very prevalent as well. Especially, but I have seen lot of the domains that AI has been making a huge, huge impact, like with increased efficiency and innovation, like in healthcare, finance, retail, manufacturing, and even in the transportation side. So, and even what
Right.
I've seen in previously as well, in like telecom space has been a very in forefront of using the AI. Like especially one of the things I have also seen, because the automation has been happening, and the continuously they're building the automating the repetitive tasks that is there, and where humans have to focus on more complex and creative and uh, tasks as well. And then this will help us to increase the efficiency for the organization. Then also shift in the skills, because one of the things is also people have to definitely improve their digital literacy, and also increase their upskilling and reskilling. They will have to go into taking newer roles as well. And then especially going to the enhanced decision making, one of the things is also which helps them to making sure that taking into more informed decisions rather than just taking some arbitrary decisions or taking some guesswork. Or so definitely, and helps to improve the outcomes also. And then the overall employee experience, also the customer experience is definitely improved because of this, because of because definitely people can take into more career paths like mundane tasks or rudimentary tasks. They can learn
Exactly.
on that. So I think those are the things which will go. And then I think with the future of the technology, I feel where human machine collaboration that will be mostly catered to, and especially the ethical considerations which will also come into the picture as well. And then the which helps to continue doing the innovation space. And yeah, that's from my.
Right. So I think you touched few very important points. So one thing, when someone is thinking about AI, right? So it is always human in the mix, right? So human and AI actually is making the difference. So basically AI is helping human to take decision faster, right? So that is how we even look at it. And the from a overall throughput perspective, right? Be it a workflow optimization or automation, and where it is like coming as next version of RPA and IPA, right? And we called it more like agentic process automation. So some of these things are definitely taking place. But as a CTO in the organization, right, and that's very common problem that the industry is facing. Let's say that there is a one team who's building their RAG, right? Is another team who also, because innovation is like accessible to everyone, right? So as a CTO in the organization, how you are controlling these things, that there are 10 different teams who are working in silos and working towards the same common mission, right? Where if they join hands together, they can do much faster and more efficient. So how you are controlling or governance you are creating, Amrish, or what is your suggestion?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. So one of the things which I have seen and which I can definitely relate to is like one of the things that I immediately did when I joined the company was especially build a center for excellence, which is one of the things where I made sure that we have a one centralized uh, area where all the where we continuously do, whether it's a workshop or readiness assessment or use case discovery and all, and especially like the tech architecture and costs, risk, benefits, or transformation roadmap. So everything will be done from a centralized team. And one of the things which people struggle, which I've seen in when I was in previously at tech, I'm also is like multiple teams used to continue doing the POCs, which really doesn't used to yield the same amount of impact as a one is centralized. And that is one thing, one center for excellence definitely helps. And the second thing is like develop a complete construct there framework for that center for excellence, which can define how do you co-create, collaborate, and develop, or building the technology as a differentiator or
Yeah.
democratize process, and build a operating model and a governance model. So I think that really helps to create, and then you build a complete COE charter and publish it across a organization. So that is the way that, and then you track it using a quarter by quarter roadmap, and that is how you track it with the KRAs of the people as well. So that's how you will be able to track those, and that is the one thing that I also did with the tech MBA. And one other thing which I also feel is like you should have a solutions team separate from your delivery team, which is a client
Mhm.
delivery team. Client delivery will be a separate team, and then there is a solution or innovation team who will continue doing innovation in terms of the product enhancements or product innovation. So that is our strategy from an overall perspective. So those things should remain in tandem, because most of the people, they are so much marred in the client delivery side, and they don't think about the innovation side, and they leave the innovation part of, and that is why we see many of these services based companies are struggling because of that, because they have so many charters everywhere, and they do not have a
Yeah.
centralized charter. And that is what I advocated when I was a global AI head for TechM as well. But I think that still remains one of the challenges with the services organization. They are not transforming them into the product base, and that is one of
Yeah.
my presidents at TechM, whom I will not name, but he was
Definitely.
used to say the
You are
same.
touching some of the problems that I can just see
Services
everywhere
based.
here.
I know that is a problem, and this is a problem not only in some services. It's all everywhere. It's everywhere in the services, and that is why the problem is that they are building more shiny AI demos, that I call, rather than they're looking into scalable and deployable solutions, which they are looking from it. So they do not have that scalable AI strategies that they are going to deploy, and that is one of the challenges that they face.
I think this pretty much summarizes that there should be a centralized team who is responsible for the governance. There should be a centralized team who is responsible for innovation or the product mindset, and then there should be a service team who's like doing the client execution one after another, right? And obviously, with all three sitting aside and then collaborating with each other, right? That is the right model for any organization to run successfully on the innovation curve of the Gen AI and agentic AI space. Now, second thing, because there are so many solutions, right? If you think about workflow automation, or if you think about agentic AI, right? Crew AI is doing the same thing. Then, right, LangGraph is doing the same thing. Then Microsoft is boasting about so many tools every day, right? Be it AutoGen, Semantic Kernel, and then their Copilot Studio is also capable of a lot of many things. So, considering these horizontal layers versus some of the native agentic AI solutions, where you see the market is trending, right? Where you see that this is from a cost and innovation, just to keep a track of innovation. This is always should be the strategy. If you have to summarize that way.
Yeah, I think one of the things, if I see from a AI strategy point of view, one of the things which I always feel that, before even we come to the Gen AI or Agentic AI, I think one of the things we should always have, we should have a continuously have a business strategy in terms of your overall mindset and the technology and data strategy, how the overall what you're doing, and then the AI governance is one thing, and then especially last thing is on your organization and culture.
Yeah.
Another thing is on the agentic AI, and definitely with the kind of the things that are coming up. What I feel is, like right now, some of the things which I see as I talk about from the agentic AI, there is a lot of uh, there is a lot of like the user interface that are coming up with the chat UI or something like input output side. So, and also from the orchestration layer or reasoning layer or data and tools or agent interoperability. So I think those are the things which you should definitely care about. But I think the main thing what we should do with the building the AI agents, you should pick an LLM first of all, and then you should look from how you want to build the agent's logic from there, and then at that time have everything with the memory and the tools and APIs, and then find the right tool and the uh, right strategy around that. And then also you should be able to basically use the right uh, from a right protocols that you need, whether it's MCP and all those.
Yeah.
So that will help you to decide which use case you want to pick from a agentic AI side as well. So that is, I think, one of the things which help
and
you
and
decide.
and from I think this is a very valid point that you mentioned, that you have to first start from the data and AI governance layer, and then you build on top of it, right? Because it is not like very simple strategy, or it is not not very direct strategy. Until unless you don't have your data sorted, you will not be able to build a great product or great outcome out of that implementation, right? And then similarly, if you don't have the right AI governance in place, you will end up investing a lot of money without thinking too much on the ROI or effective ROI, right? Now there are there is a race among frontier models, and then there is a race among all the cloud, be it GCP or AWS or Azure. Which like a cloud platform do you think is like putting the right effort? Because Microsoft has invested in OpenAI way back, right? And then with the Google Gemini coming into the space, they are also maturing, I would say, really fast, right? And they have I would say they are also hitting the race again. And with the AWS, their Anthropic, and some of the protocols, right? Some of these best practices that AWS launching, it becomes really blurry to see who to go for and how to choose a cloud partner. So what you are seeing from your positioning perspective, which one is ahead in the race and why?
Yeah, no, I think, see, from my perspective, what I have seen means in order to choose the right agentic framework, whether it's with the right tools or memory and the multi-agent protocols, one of the things which I always suggest is like definitely go with the open source network first. And I'll tell you from my experience because when I worked
Sure.
for, especially in the healthcare giant with the insurance one as well with the Elevance Health, we built our own LLM gateway, which allowed us to host our private LLMs, as well as we had the LLMs which were available to the enterprise side as well. And that LLM gateway used to switch between the private, and you can choose between them. So whichever is the latest and greatest, you can always choose. So I think that is one of the things which the companies should build. And but if the companies do not have the resources, what they should do, definitely start with the open source LLMs like the Crew AI for the, if it is also the Crew AI or Llama Index or LangGraph that are there, or Agent SDK, which are already
Yeah.
there in the markets. So that will help us to get some of these going as well, and then start working on building the complete agentic roadmap as well. And then once you have that right roadmap, then you should start explore, plan, and implement and scale and continuously realize those values internally as well. So I think that is one thing that helps you. And even from a product manager point of view, as well as you are building these agentic workflows, prototyping. So I think with the open source and all those, you should be continuously doing a prototyping, looking at different foundational models, looking at different evaluation systems, which are the ones which help you in building those quickly as well. And that is the journey that you have to do, definitely, because it is not immediate. But I think if you do not have the time and the patience, what I've also seen work with some startups who have some of these platforms that are already ready made built, and then as I was talking to recently one of the startups as well, and it takes them almost 1 week or 2 weeks to build any agentic platform and deploy and scale reliably and responsibly as well. So I think that is the one thing which should happen in terms of you should have the clear strategy in terms of whether it's governance or like with this, which how you want to build. So that thing helps you to define that quickly. If you want to build it internally, then you may choose one cloud provider that can help you to build that. But I have seen with services companies, they have multiple accelerators that they build, and chip providers as well. They will keep experimenting with them. That I feel somehow is a not a good strategy, because now you are uh, going into multiple domains, and then you keep on experimenting with them, and you will be always be in the experimentation phase. You will never be able to deploy some of the things in the real space. So I think you should definitely take one of the cloud providers first, deploy it in, make sure deploy and in the cloud environment, and make sure that it's integrated with the applications, and that will help you to demonstrate some of your capabilities, because that is where the major challenge will remain. POCs, definitely experimentation POCs, will not help you to take you much far further apart. And that is why I feel that product mindset is very important in taking, whether you take any cloud provider, it doesn't matter. Most of these cloud providers have advanced now, even Microsoft or AWS or Nvidia, anyone that I have seen working with, and even the open source is one as well. So I think whichever you want to take, even Llama is also very, very powerful as well. So I think whichever you take it directly and make sure that you productionize it first, and then that will help you in a long term strategy in order to show that confidence, because otherwise you will be always be in that experimentation mode.
That's really like very important point, and I think the crux of our discussion, because I've seen there was a race to move to the cloud, right? And now people are just trying to find ways of optimizing it using FinOps and all, right? Those methodologies. Similarly, here people are just like making part of the race going to any cloud, but ultimately they have to like land up on some similar approach where they have to go for like LLM layer, right, where underneath maybe they are using Nvidia or something else just to host their open source model and then train on the domain data and then making things very local and specific to their business domain. So I'll, because we are reaching to the end of time, but Amrish, just help me understand, like, out of several problem statements within healthcare, right, which top two or three problems that you will say like this is the most valuable from a ROI perspective. And I'll quote with some examples. For example, in healthcare, RCM is one of the businesses, right, where you can reduce the overall billing cycle, or maybe just talking about the prior authorization, or talking about the document processing, right, where a lot of contracts, a lot of like digital documents can be processed. Which top two or three you see is the maximum ROI driven use cases from a healthcare perspective, and that is applicable for any payer or provider?
Yeah, so I think if you look in from the AI space, generative AI space, means most of these, if you see from the top cases that are there, I think one of the things which I have seen in the market with the healthcare providers or healthcare life sciences, especially the drug discovery, diagnostics, everybody speaks about it, but I think one of the things is which is actually published study from Gartner as well. Like one of the things is uh, they have seen is like especially with the clinical content drafting. One of the things which I have seen is one of the biggest revenue impact generating, and then also from the provider side, like the ambient digital transcribe, which is mostly transcribing the patient doc. Top three cases has been digital ambient digital scribe. That is one thing, and then from a use case RCM space that you mentioned, and then from a drug discovery diagnostics, and all these are clinical trial or personalized treatments. These are the top three or four cases that are become the high revenue impact. That is the one which is coming up in the space.
Sounds good. So I think now we are just on time, Amrish. I would say I really loved speaking to you on these topics, and this is the first ever podcast going on the LinkedIn. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll be traveling India next month. We'll see if we can find time and place to have a coffee together. It will be great to meet you in person as well.
Sure, sure. Same here. It was a great talking to you as well. It was a really wonderful time, and definitely let's meet sometime. Yeah, whenever you are in India. So it will be
Sure.
great to host you. Yeah.